Coming up on City Beat, we take a look back at some of our favorite stories from 2016, like this Las Vegas fire and rescue training exercise that took firefighters nearly 600 feet in the air to rescue trapped passengers, or actors, down to the ground safely. Plus, this temporary display in remembrance of the attacks of 9/11. More than 2,000 American flags, each bearing the name of a victim, along with a little bit of their history and background. And see how a group of dedicated residents is helping these beautiful birds find new homes after being nudged out of their natural habitats. Hi, everybody. Welcome to City Beat. I'm your host, Nancy Byrne, and we are in the KCLV TV studios. It's hard to believe, but 2016 is in the history books. And every year here on City Beat, we have a little tradition where we look back at some of our favorite stories of the previous year. Well, this past year, we did a lot of stories with Las Vegas Fire and Rescue and some of their training exercises. Our favorite had to be at the High Roller on the Strip. Here was the scenario. High Roller loses power, but there are people still in the glass cabins, so they have to be removed from the cabins and rappelled down to the ground, nearly 600 feet to the ground. This is the High Roller on the Las Vegas Strip. It's 550 feet high, 250 feet in diameter, with 28 glass cabins that offer spectacular views of the Strip and Las Vegas throughout a 30-minute ride. Now, to say that this is a safe attraction is an understatement. According to safety experts with Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, it's highly unlikely it would ever stop operating with people inside. Even if it did, a backup system would kick in quickly.
If a motor broke or something that can be fixed within an hour, they've got disaster kits in every one of those units with water. They got sun shields. They just really did their homework on it, and you would shelter in place. They've got backup systems where they can turn the wheel slowly and bring the people down unit by unit. And they got other backup systems.
But let's just say, on the extremely outside chance it couldn't be restarted by one of the many backup units.
We'll have Captain Wiseman as pod support on the edge, so as you come around, he's just going to direct you onto the ladder, send you up to pod 4.
This is your last-ditch effort. If everything else fails and there's no way to bring those people down, this is what you would do.
That's right. You'd call in the technical rescue team from Las Vegas Fire and Rescue.
This is one of our best trainings that we have. This is a yearly event for us as required for the certificate for operation for the High Roller. Part of their operational plan is a rescue plan.
On this particular day, our technical rescue team is training with similar teams from New York City and Orange County, Orlando fire departments. Captain Tony Rizzo says the rescue actually starts inside this tall leg that leads up to the cabins. You see, rescuers climb up the interior steps to get to the center of the wheel, and then they are carried to the cabins or pods by what they call a trolley. You and I would call it a rope.
Operations start at the hub. They trolley the rescuers over. They rappel down into one of the pods. They'll access the pods. Inside the pod, we build a mirrored rope lowering system. There's about 4 guys in there right now that are operating the system. We put our victims into the screamer suits, as they're appropriately called, and then we'll lower them to the ground.
Yes, he did say screamer suit. We'll just let you figure out how they came up with that name. You see, the victims are lowered without a rescuer on the line with them, so as to not waste valuable space on the line.
Can safely operate with 3 victims on the line.
When they get to the ground, a rescuer is there to help them off the line and out of the screamer suit. So you see, it's all very safe. Scary, but safe. Seriously, though, when the High Roller was built, safety agencies in our region were actually in on the plans to make sure every hook, tool, and safety door was built right inside the ride.
So both on law enforcement, medical, and fire, all of the agencies came in here and gave them their suggestions, and they followed them.
The pods were actually built in Colorado and shipped to Las Vegas. We sent representatives from Las Vegas Fire and Rescue to Colorado. When the pods were delivered here, we went inside each pod and we, through the guts of the pod to see what we could use and what we couldn't use. So it's been extremely beneficial.
The Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Team serves a wide area, including North Las Vegas and Clark County, all the way out to State Line and all the way up to Mount Charleston, which means they're trained to answer a wide variety of calls.
We also do confined space, trench rescue, building collapse. We do vehicle extrication, elevator rescue, swift water. So all of those disciplines, every month we'll pick one of those disciplines and we'll train exclusively on that.
That's good.
That's good.
Horlock, my rescue center's good.
The training for all the disciplines is intense, but the rescuers know they can never let their guards down.
You're about 500 feet off the ground, and it's really scary, even for firefighters, and it's extremely dangerous. And this is the last thing that we want to have to do, but if we have to do it, we want to know what we're doing.
So it's a great opportunity for us to learn the system they have in place and that they're evolving as they train, as we're getting one of these wheels built in Staten Island in the city of New York. So it's a good chance for us to see some of the challenges and issues that we're going to face going forward and how to deal with them.
And judging by what we saw on this day, and fortunately for all of us, they certainly do know what they're doing.
Our guys, I would pit against any rescue team in the world.
One of the more moving stories we covered this past year was in September. It was at Palm Mortuary Northwest, which is located around the 215 in Jones. In honor of 9/11, they erected 2,996 American flags, each representing a victim of 9/11 and a little bit of their history.
I'm here today because Palm Mortuary has done a wonderful thing to go to all of the trouble to display these flags for everyone lost on 9/11.
The idea came from in 2006 at the 5-year anniversary. We were looking for some way to recognize and memorialize the anniversary of 9/11, and Colonial Flag Foundation had this program set up from Utah.
My friend Bobby Pope is visiting here from North Carolina, and before these wonderful flags are taken down this year, I wanted to show her this incredible sight.
I'm very emotional being here today because I don't think we should ever forget this. These people gave their lives for just an unbelievable event, and as Americans we should never forget it.
When you walk in the field and you visualize that each one of these flags represents a person, and it's hard to imagine if that was this many people standing around us. It would be overwhelming.
It's personal. Oh, this was a firefighter. Driver of the engine number 252. This guy liked collie dogs. It's just beautiful.
Every time we do it, I am proud of how it turns out. But for some reason this year, and maybe because it is going to be the last year that we do this, I am even more proud of the team, the volunteers that came out and helped. The outpouring that I have heard from the community is just tremendous and overwhelming.
We can just never forget what all of this means.
Unfortunately, that is likely the last time you'll see that magnificent display at Palm Northwest. You see, those flags had been put on a part of their property that has since been allocated for burial plots. You know, most people think of Las Vegas as just being glamour and glitz, and while we love that aspect of our city, we do have another side to our personality. We have a beautiful desert and mountain terrain. And as our business and residential areas begin to grow, many of our animals are being edged out of their natural habitat. Well, fortunately, for at least one of those animals, there's a group of dedicated people who are making sure when one door closes, another door opens.
It's very early on this August morning here in the northwest part of the city, and when you look up, you see a beautiful sunrise. And when you look down, you just might see this rare sight. These are burrowing owls. While most people associate reptiles with the desert, these birds are actually indigenous to our region. Christiana Manville, a biologist with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, says the birds love the outskirts of our city where they find food and ready-made homes for themselves.
They use desert tortoise burrows and kit fox burrows. Then in town, we think that maybe the owls are attracted to the edges of town because there's more irrigation and water and hence food. In the summer, they eat mostly insects.
But these wide open spaces are narrowing for the owls, not just because of their natural predators, but because of a threat closer to the ground. Construction means progress in many ways, but it also means the displacement of many animals, such as the burrowing owls.
They're a species of conservation concern, and so parts of the burrowing owl's range is declining. A lot of it is habitat loss.
But thanks to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife's Habitat Restoration Program, these beautiful birds are finding new homes in more remote areas of the city, both on public and private land. Christiana explains how the partnership program works.
I have money and technical assistance I can give them to do good things for wildlife. And so in Las Vegas, I did a project at Floydland Park, which is owned by the city of Las Vegas. And then we've also done a project with a local doctor here who's bought property. He's a photographer is his hobby, and he bought property because he was concerned about the owls.
Here on the doctor's property, money from the program was used to put up this fencing to keep off-road vehicles and people from entering, crushing the openings of the burrows, possibly entombing the birds. Volunteers stepped up to do the rest.
And this past winter, we installed artificial burrows with the Boy Scouts, and it looks like we installed 4 burrows. It looks like 3 are now being used by owls.
She also formed a partnership with another property not too far from this area, Gilcrease Orchard. Here, more artificial burrows were built in 2 separate habitats, and it's been a win-win situation for the birds and the orchard.
Since the owls fly at night, and so do moths, and so if you've ever grown tomatoes and you've seen the big tomato hornworms, we don't have that problem here. And I contribute a lot of that to the owls.
The benefits that Mark Rubin sees to the crops here at Gilcrease answer that bigger question that sometimes arises. Why is it so important to protect our wildlife?
So it's balance, keeping everything in balance. The more species you have, they've evolved together. They each do a job in the community.
So really, it's just the wise thing to do.
By the way, since the birds are a protected species by federal law, if any of the birds or their eggs are intentionally harmed, there are penalties. Well, in 2016, Las Vegas Metro Police lost 2 of its canine officers. On March 31st, Canine Nikki was killed during a confrontation with a shooting suspect. On August 1st, Canine Boris unexpectedly died after a search. We'd like to take you to those 2 services. K-9 Nikki was 8 years old. K-9 Boris was 11 and very close to retirement. We want to thank Metro Police for supplying us with those videos. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll tell you why one of the oldest buildings in southern Nevada is being renovated. Congratulations to the City of Las Vegas Employee of the Month, Audra Hastings. Audra is a court specialist within the municipal court system. Her primary role and responsibilities include monitoring the city's house arrest program. The program was under reorganization when she joined the city, but she jumped right in to help wherever needed. She oversees more than 275 defendants on electronic monitoring devices. Audra's true strength is her ability to guide defendants through the house arrest process, ensuring that they are doing what they need to complete their sentence. She truly cares about these citizens who are obviously going through a difficult time. Her supervisor has received calls from many who have been helped by her, touting the difference she has made in their lives. For her care and compassion to our residents who find themselves in difficult times, we congratulate Audra Hastings, our City of Las Vegas Employee of the Month.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, excuse me, sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If the door's locked, knock first, don't burp, don't swear, don't stare, don't use bad language, or talk with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
Don't interrupt. Cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give your seat up to anybody who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you want to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
Good talk.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Each one of our journeys keeps us young. Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
We'll never get older. Each one Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to City Beat as we take a look back at some of our favorite stories of 2016. If you love the outdoors and you love history, Floyd Lamb Park at Tule Springs is the place for you. It's a 680-acre oasis in our city filled with trees, peacocks, and historic buildings. In fact, one of the oldest buildings in southern Nevada is located there. It's an adobe dating back to the early 1900s. Well, it was just rehabilitated, so we thought we'd go check it out and find out about the painstaking process it took to bring this building back to life. To some, this may just look like an old hut made from rock and mud. But to those who love the history of our city, this little adobe speaks volumes of our past.
So the earliest record that we have of the adobe is around 1910. We think that it was probably here before that because around the turn of the century, there was a little settlement here for travelers that were coming from the Las Vegas area to the mines in the north. So there were other buildings here. Of course, none of those from that time remain. This is the only one.
Getting it back as close as possible to its original form has been quite the project. When Courtney Mooney and some of our architects and other staff from Public Works came to check it out and plan how they were going to proceed with the rehab, what they saw was bad news.
When we first came up to the site with Courtney, we saw that the structure was in a collapsed state. It was all on the ground. It was in bad disrepair.
But in that pile of rubble was a glimmer of hope.
Fortunately, all the materials that were on the ground, we were able to salvage those. By salvaging those materials, we're able to go forward with the reconstruction of the project.
Using as much original materials as possible, they got started rebuilding the adobe. It's believed it was once used as a blacksmith shop and perhaps even a home. The original doors were dug up and put back on the building. You can even see the handle from an old tin bucket on the roof. Original builders recycled everything, including old tin containers, to make the roof. But the challenge with reconstructing historic projects is not just keeping it authentic, but keeping it safe by today's standards.
You want to keep the integrity and the appearance of the existing structure, but yet we had to upgrade it to current code. Working with our building and safety department, we came up with the idea, and our engineer came up with the idea of a poured-in-place, top-of-wall concrete bond beam. This bond beam acted like a ring, tying all the walls together, attaching the roof to the walls, and because it was poured in place, the weight of it added more stability to the walls.
Oh yeah, this is awesome.
Councilman Steve Ross holds this park and its history very close to his heart. He came here as a child, and now so do his grandchildren. He appreciates the intricate details that went into bringing this adobe back to life.
So we picked materials that would weather kind of the same as the others, so that pretty soon it'll look very similar to the actual historic pieces.
This used to actually be a community. This was a stopping place to water your horse or for wagons. If you recall, there even used to be a railroad spur that went to the northern towns and the northern mines. So this was a happening place back in the day. People lived here.
Of course, no one can live here today, but he and all who worked on this latest park project hope people continue to visit and learn to appreciate our city's humble beginnings.
All the public comes out here and enjoys this historical structure that reminds us of our heritage and what the ranch was used way back when, a century ago.
It's just a fabulous, fabulous jewel in the desert.
If you haven't been out to Floydland Park at Tule Springs, you really must visit the park. It's located on North Durango, just north of the 95. We want to take you to another major rehabilitation that was completed in 2016, the historic West Side School.
The West Side School was built to serve a community located on the west side of the railroad tracks because until the Bonanza Underpass was built in 1936, there was no real safe way to get across the tracks. It welcomed children from the Paiute Indian colony as well as African American students. But in 1966, it ceased to operate as a school and became run down. Many in the community who attended the school, as well as city leaders, decided this old Las Vegas friend needed to be saved. But from idea to completion, the rehabilitation of the two old buildings took a long time, 11 years to be exact.
I actually was going through my emails this morning, and I've got an email dated here September 27th, 2005.
Sam Tolman is the architectural project manager for the West Side School and says a lack of funds and the recession kept putting the brakes on progress.
Money. In 2008, we had $250,000 to start something, and then we had additional money come in thanks to the Centennial Commission. And as we went through, there are bonds, there's RDA, Redevelopment Agency funding, some general funds.
Finally, thanks to a financial boost from new market tax credits, they were able to finish the project. Both buildings as good, if not better than new. Sam showed us some of the challenges they faced during construction, starting with getting the 1923 building back to its original floor plan.
So what we did is we checked out historically on what was really here. And so we took out the non-historical features, and we brought back the actual historical walls. Some of these walls were still here in part. Some had to be added back in.
Windows needed to remain authentic single panes, but also needed to be more energy efficient.
So we ended up putting in a storm window with this magnetite to create a air gap, which helped us from an energy standpoint.
Lighting fixtures no longer available had to be duplicated and approved by historic preservation experts, from the Las Vegas Historic Commission to the National Park Service, since it's on the National Historic Register. The same was true for these giant doors leading outside at each end of this hallway. Painstaking measures were taken to preserve built-in shelves and cabinets, and these floors, another challenge.
There was all kinds of stuff on this floor. There was carpet, there was padding, there was old tile, and we weren't sure what was actually down there. We had noticed in the hallway in the janitor's closet that it looked like there was a wood floor. Well, until we got everything off, we didn't know that this floor you see is the original floor.
The second building, constructed in 1948, had its own set of issues. These windows had been blocked off at some point for some reason. They had to be totally reconstructed. The concrete floor had to be replaced due to cracks and settling. The land around the old school needed a major makeover with desert-friendly landscaping and energy-efficient lighting. The exterior was painted its original mint green, and these murals were protected and restored by moving them from the front to the rear of the building. A lot of work, but a lot of satisfaction. It is now ready to become a retail, museum, and event complex.
This is going to kind of be the catalyst to make this area grow.
Sam says at the very first outreach meeting the city held here at the school with former students and teachers in 2005, there was no question the historic West Side School needed to have a permanent place in our city.
They would stand out front with the same people they had a photograph with, classmates and teachers. There's a lot of life and history, and it was emotional, it really was.
Thank you so much for joining us as we took a look back at some of our favorite stories of 2016. We probably could have shown you a lot more. We look forward to more great stories in 2017. We hope you had a wonderful holiday season, and all of us here at Channel 2 wish you the very best in 2017.